Let's get right to it. We got a lot of ground to cover in tonight's mailbag. I want to start with a flurry of questions that we got after 9 homes fell into the waves at the Outer Banks. Here is a quick montage for you. One home after another, falling into the water, into the ocean. A few in Buxton, another one in Rodanthe. This debris then getting spread all up and down the beach, closing it down to visitors while everything gets cleaned up. So many questions about this. Beth asked, who cleans it up? Steve, who pays for the cleanup? Rachel, why aren't they demolished? And Mary Jo, are there no laws requiring demolition? So these are all great questions, and they are all questions we have answered before. We have covered this a few times, done a couple of segments right here in depth, and you can check those out on the WRAL YouTube page. But since you're here right now, why don't we do just a quick recap for you. So first, Beth's question, who cleans it up? Well, the homeowners are really on the hook for the cleanup, but, and this gets a little murky, because these homes fall into public beaches and into the ocean, sending debris miles down the coast complicates things. That's when the government then steps in to clean it up. And it's a combination of the National Park Service and some contractors hired by county government, which means the answer to Steve's question, who pays for the cleanup? Well, sometimes, lots of times, most of the time, it's you and me, the taxpayer. But why does it always come to this? Or as Rachel put it, why aren't the homes demolished before they can collapse? Well, sometimes they are. Earlier this year, one home was moved, another one was demolished. But in most cases, the homes are left there until they collapse because of money. You see, it is expensive, very expensive, to demolish or relocate these oceanfront homes. Now, the National Park Service will help out sometimes. In 2023, they used a special fund to buy 2 homes. They paid $700,000 to do this, and those homes were then demolished before they could pollute the beach. But again, in most cases, the homeowners are forced to shell out the money themselves. Private insurance and federal flood insurance, they will not cover this cost, not to demolish or relocate a home. So oftentimes, really the only compensation will come after the house is demolished by the waves, falls into the ocean, and then insurance will pay out. Which brings us to Mary Jo's question. Are there laws requiring demolition so that they don't reach that point or have that part of the equation where homeowners are incentivized to leave their homes there? And no, there are no laws. But if you think about it, that would be kind of unfair, right? I mean, the government forcing homeowners to demolish or relocate their home. And that's something that lots of people don't have the money to do. They just can't afford it. And then the government's not going to help them to offset that cost. But a pair of congressmen from North Carolina think they do have the answer. Representatives Greg Murphy and Don Davis, a Republican and Democrat working across the aisle, they filed a bill authorizing the National Flood Insurance Program to give payouts to people so they can demolish or relocate their home before it is destroyed. That bill is stuck in committee, and it may be that way for a while before it moves forward, as Congress is a little bit preoccupied right now with that whole government shutdown thing. But if the bill does get a vote, we will let you know. We'll be watching it. All right, moving on to the emails about trash. We got a bunch of questions about a story of people living near that South Wake County landfill. Breaking news, it smells terrible. But this was a great reminder of where our trash actually goes. A viewer named Robert saw the story and wrote in and said, I'd like to learn more about waste to energy. So this is a fascinating process. Waste to energy is possible. We can convert water bottles, grocery bags, banana peels, packing peanuts, pizza boxes, the takeout container that you forgot about, and everything else into electricity or even into fuel. Maybe some of you have seen the social media videos of a guy in Georgia who turns plastic into gasoline in his backyard.
I built this machine behind me so I can make gasoline for $0 a gallon from plastic waste. Let's go.
So that is Julian Brown. He built a machine that converts plastic garbage into fuel. He says labs have tested it out. They claim that it works. Now, to be clear, he did not invent the plastic to fuel process, but he did create or claims to create a more efficient way to do it. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But there is a real demand for this sort of thing all over the world. In 2022, waste to energy facilities were a $42 billion global industry. They take in 15% of the world's trash. The most popular model, I should say, turns trash into electricity. Now, on average, one facility can create 34 megawatts. That's enough to power around 22,000 homes. Now, generally, the way it works is the trash is incinerated. That creates steam. That steam turns a turbine-driven generator, creating electricity, which then goes out onto the grid. There are hundreds of these facilities in China and India, but there are only around 60 in the United States. Why? Why is that? Well, there are several drawbacks with waste-to-energy plants. Emissions, for one, air quality, and that old not in my backyard kind of thing. Also, the big one, say it with me now, money. It seems to be a common theme in a lot of these segments that we do. A landfill the size of the one, say, we have in South Wake County, that costs about $150 million to build and maintain. Compare that to a waste-to-energy plant built recently in Palm Beach, Florida, back in 2015. That cost $672 million, more than 4 times the cost of a landfill, and you'd have to burn lots and lots of garbage to make up that cost. Waste-to-energy is expensive, very, very expensive. But that could change one day, and it brings us back to Julian Brown, the guy converting plastic into fuel in his backyard. Like I said, he didn't discover the process. He discovered a new way to do it. His machine is special because it uses solar energy and microwaves to break down the trash, making the whole process more efficient and potentially less expensive. Researchers out of Saudi Arabia published a study earlier this year. They looked at a similar process and found it to be, quote, a promising approach for the sustainable management of plastic waste. Waste to energy as a large-scale alternative, though, is still many years away. Until a cheaper, easier process moves from the backyard to a big business, we'll keep putting trash where we've put it for thousands of years, in a hole in the ground. Tell me your thoughts on these topics. Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. What should we be covering on this segment here at 7 o'clock? Tell me what's on your mind, and we will go in depth.